Okay, hello, I am Mark Robinson, and I am the creator, author, director, not director, that's not quite right, container builder, chief safety officer for Pilgrimage. And as such, I'm really excited about being on the road with others and being able to engage with each other as we're trying to travel this road of life. And as I've been doing this for a while, I have gathered together a set of maps that will help us, I believe, helps me certainly as I am on this pilgrimage on the road of life. So I want to share some of these maps with you as a, and all I'm going to do at this point is kind of share the largest frame. I'm going to kind of, this is like a flying over the at the 30,000 foot level as we're looking at these various maps for the journey, and they're maps of maps. And um, so as we engage in this process, we are supporting each other and helping each other out and sharing the load in various ways. And in order to do that, we need to have a set of just kind of a guidance system, so we know how it is that we can relate to each other and to ourselves as we travel this road. So there's a whole series of maps that I want to share with you about this. And the largest map, the most kind of general map, is this one that says, where are we going? And what can we find there? And how do we get there? But it's important that we not begin the journey before we know where it is that we're going, and that we not try to go someplace without knowing where we're starting from. So this is sort of the fundamental map of maps, which says the first thing I need to do is to know where I am now. I need to be centered in my own experience. I need to know who I am. I know when it is now. I know what space that I'm in. The more I can be grounded in the now, the more I can act powerfully and creatively with my life. And the crucial thing about this is that I'm not going to try to be someplace that I can't get to, or solve a problem that's unsolvable. I need to be able to define my problems in such a way that I'm actually going to be addressing them. Right? So one of the things that we do, and this is a really fundamental map, is that we try to address the issues in our life in ways that we already know aren't going to work, but sometimes they work. And so we will use one of these four strategies pretty much routinely. Turns out that if you ignore it, it doesn't go away. Turns out that if you fight with somebody, they're going to fight back. And if you're going to try to fight, they feel as though you're trying to make them lose. And so because you're trying to make them lose, they're trying to make you lose. And sure enough, you both lose. So fighting does not create what we need. We all know that we can't actually control each other, but this knowledge does not stop us from trying. And when it comes down to caring for ourselves or caring for others, sometimes we really do need to take care of others. But if we're trying to get our needs met by taking care of them, that's not going to work. That's not going to create what we need. Turns out there is something that actually will work, and that is that we can know what it is that we need in the context of the relationship as a quality rather than as an event or a strategy. And that when we know what we can do that moves us towards that quality, and we show up in a manner that such that we are speaking the helpful truth, we are allowing others to benefit from our efforts on their behalf and not expecting them to change. It turns out that when we do this, we actually can reliably, powerfully move towards what it is that we need. The hard part about this, kind of the central feature here, is this whole, how do I know what it is that I need as a quality, and to move towards that rather than what it is that I want. So it's this capacity to know the difference between what I want and what I need that is really quite crucial. So how do I make sense of this? First of all, I've got to notice that I'm not going to react, I'm going to respond. not evoking a strategy that hasn't figured out what the outcome is going to be, and inviting a quality, and really be able to see what is the quality of being that I'm looking to create rather than the event or the strategy. So how do I know what it is that I need? That's one of the questions I keep asking people. Well, what is it you need? It's really very hard to know. This is a very difficult question, but it really grounds us in our own experience when I say, okay, what is that quality that I need? So in order to be able to think about what it is that we need, we have this larger map, and this is incredibly complicated. And I will link, so you'll link so you can kind of print this out and get a close look at it. But basically, the premise here is that being arises in multiple levels, all the time, everywhere, for everyone. In all of the systems, there are various ways of being that exist as various layers of reality, if you will. And so this is a way of being able to think about what's possible for us. But it's really hard. This is a lot of stuff on this page. It's hard to get your head around this. So we simplify it a little bit by bringing it down into, how do I think about who I am? The part of the cosmos with which I am most familiar is me, and you for you. And so what we're looking at is the nature of being itself as it arises for us as stages in the development of our consciousness. We are at all the levels all the time. We are in the world in being, right? But it doesn't mean I'm aware of it. I have to become conscious of that. And so the movement in these orders is a movement from just being aware of my experience to being aware of myself as one having my experience, to the one who is in roles with others, or the one who is choosing who it is that I'm going to be. And so our identity moves up, our consciousness expands as we move up. And we will. Now, the more trauma that we've experienced in our lives, the harder it's going to be to move to higher stages. And there certainly are things that we can do that will increase our capacity to move to these higher levels of consciousness. One of the things we can do is we can be on a pilgrimage with others who are doing the same work, because we will pick it up from each other. So being a part of a community really matters here. But the thing is that these steps, I don't move to the next higher level, and this is like broken up into 8 levels, and there are 8 million little layers here. So this is a gradient, not actual steps. But moving to a higher level of development happens because I've resolved a problem that occurs at whatever level I'm at the time. I begin to make sense of that. Oh, that's what's going on here. And so little by little, we become, we grow in wisdom, right? So being able to know how it is that I can grow in wisdom becomes important. How do I engage in this transformation? So the map for this is something we call the transformation octave. It starts up here at the top, where I'm feeling stable, everything's fine, copacetic for me. And then, as the bumper sticker says, shit happens. And so there's some kind of disruption. And I get to decide, am I going to pay attention to this? Is this something I'm going to lean into, or I'm going to try to ignore it? And if I say, okay, I'm going to pay attention to this, then we will figure out, okay, what does it mean that this is happening? And I already know what it means, but what I'm making it mean is not enough to actually construct a resolution. So I'm going to have to be interested in, how do other people make meaning? So I'm listening to other voices and constructing a more complex map that allows me to make sense in a larger way. And then I listen to that map, and it gives me an idea of how it is that I might be, so that I can lean into that and arise back at a stable system, but an octave higher, because I have moved from the old system into a new one that's actually going to work better for me. So that was in a minute and a half, a 10-week course. So And then the final map that I want to share with you is this map that we call just conflict. And this is the map of all maps. This is what I've been teaching for 30 years now. And it's basically a set of maps. It's a whole sheaf full of maps. And the first sheaf is this orientation, this set of questions here, where first of all, we clarify, do you actually have permission to create what you need? Mostly we don't, right? Is there anything that bothers you so much that you would be willing to change what you're doing? Because if I'm not going to change what I'm doing, nothing's going to change. I'm the only one who can change my experience. It really does rely on each of us making meaningful choices. But you know what they say, can't eat an elephant all at once. You eat it one bite at a time. So what's the one thing that I'm going to address? So having oriented ourselves, then we engage in a process of self-reflection and lean into a new way of being. And this process of self-reflection leads us to being aware of what is it's actually happening in consensual reality. When that happens, what does that arouse in me? How am I impacted when that happens? And what does that reveal to me about what it is that I actually need? So this arising, arousing, and longing leads me into a new way of being in which I can look at what is this persistent pattern of conflict that's happening in this significant relationship, and what could I have done differently last time, and what do I want to do in the meantime, or how would I deal with it next time it shows up, and in the meantime, what is it that I'm going to do? So these are all aspects of a at least 10-week course in just conflict. So we've got all of these different maps that will lead us, or not lead us, allow us to get kind of chart our own course in a way that can be helpful if what you want to do is to be the best you that's available to you. You know, if you want to show up in the fullest expression of your life, and you get to hang out with other people who are doing the same work. So I encourage you to join us on the pilgrimage. I'm going to put in a bunch of links here so that you can see where to find other resources about this, because this is a very brief introduction to a whole lot of material, but I offer it here so you kind of know what the maps are and what you can do with them. Okay? Hope to see you on the road.